All right, we're out at the field on early in the morning. I'm hoping today is a much better flight than 2 weeks ago. Got myself a 5,000 milliamp 3S pack right here, pushed as far back as I can really get it. I could get it further back, but it should fly okay at this location. Again, I'm not doing the FPV. Nobody else is here, so there's really no reason to. Let's do a flight check. Gear. Those work. Check the flaps. There they go. Rudder. Yep. Elevator, and they're going the right direction. And aileron. Okay. Let's do a throttle check. Yep. They're all spinning. All right. Let's get her on the ground. One addition is I did put the side gunners in. Probably can't see them good from this view, and I did put the little gun turrets in the back, so the B-17 is fully armed. I do not have differential thrust on this bomber. I did it on my old one. I don't know if I'm going to do it on this yet or not. The only downside with this plane for my previous one and this one, they both seem to pull really hard on takeoff. But I don't know how much of that was the wind last time, so we'll see how it is today. Okay, let's get that throttle going. Oh, that was much better. Much better. The last time I did it, it pulled hard to the right, but that was probably because the wind was coming from that direction and it hit that big vertical stabilizer. There we go. I should be able to dial it in a little better today. Bring it on around. Flying much better. Just like I knew it would. I knew from my other one that on a windy day or a turbulent day, this thing just bounces all over the place. I know some people say it doesn't, but in the videos I've seen of those guys flying, they're also going at like fighter jet speed, so I don't know what to say. I like to fly my bombers slow and scale, but I suppose if it was a matter of flying at all, then probably better to fly fast so you can just avoid the wind or not have to let it beat you up. On a day like today with the sun though, this thing looks so gorgeous with the reflections off the silver. Let's come in closer to me. Nice. So just like my previous model, when I give it throttle, it pitches up. So like right now, here I am on level, advancing throttle. See how it pitches up? It's not terrible, but it would be great if I might put a mix in to try and curb that. I have my timer set for I think 7 minutes on this 5,000 pack. I think that'll be just about right, but we'll see. Let's come on in. I'll do a slow pass from the right. God, so much nicer to fly on a calm day. Here we go. Really low, eye level. Comes again. It sure is a beautiful plane. Really nice looking plane. So let's test out some flaps. So going half flaps. For me it didn't do much. Well, okay, it's pulling a little more to the right, so I must have the flaps not exactly 100% equal on both sides. Actually, before I do it, put the flaps up. I want to gain some altitude. I want to do some stall tests and see how this handles. I know how it handles from my previous one, but I want to see with this one, with all the FPV gear and the extra weight, just to make sure it handles what I expect it to. All right, that's plenty high. Let's bring her around. Okay, so I'm at about a half throttle, 40% throttle, somewhere around there. So full flaps going down. Ballooned a little bit. But man, that can slow down. So I'm down to about 20% throttle right now, and it's barely losing altitude. It barely has any sink rate. Let's have it come right by us. Nice and slow, bombing run. Oh, look at how scaled that looks. And at this distance, I don't really even notice the flaps down, truth be told. So let me do this. I want to take her up to altitude. I'm gonna go do a figure eight, so I'm not ready yet, but when I turn around, I'm gonna try doing a stall with slight power and pulling back until it stalls. All right, so let's get her up there. So I'm pulling back on the throttle and just barely pulling back on the stick. Right now I'm about full back on the stick and almost zero throttle. So you can see how it's not really biting me in a stall. Now I didn't aggravate that. I didn't just crank back on the stick, but it just kind of wants to sink. Very well behaved. Let's see, our timer says 1.5 minutes remaining. Let's do another pass from the right side. I'll put the flaps down. And then let's come on over and do a slow pass. Oh, hit a thermal there. You could tell. Nice looking plane when it does that. So I might experiment with putting a, well, not, I will. Sorry, let me restart. I'm going to add a little bit more down elevator to the flap mix. And then I'm going to experiment, I think, with a delayed elevator, negative elevator for the throttle, so that it happens slowly, not immediately, because what you don't want to do is gun the throttle. It takes a second or two for the plane to pitch up. I don't want to have the plane immediately pitch down with throttle trim, elevator trim. So I'm gonna have to put like a short delay in there of like a second or two. So I might mess around with that. All right, time for me to land. I can kind of feel the wind hitting me from my right side, so it's sort of coming from the north. So we'll land from the other side, put down the gear. All right, there they are. Full flaps going down. Okay, let's pitch her around here. Nice and slow, throttling back, turning, keeping a little bit of throttle on. Just now I'm almost idle. There we go. Whoop. There we go. That tail wheel doesn't have a whole lot of authority when it's on the ground, truth be told. That's when differential thrust would be really helpful. That was a nice flight. All right, so we're back on the bench. My transmitter shows -41. So yeah, I flew for about 7 minutes, 41 seconds, or I had the throttle above 25% for that long. Let's check the battery voltage. Wow, it was at 3.89, 3.9. So that was only like 2/3 of the battery. I can fly for another probably 2.5, 3 minutes at least if I wanted to be at storage voltage. So I might take her up again just to burn off a little bit more battery. and get her going. One thing before I take off I wanted to point out, so you're all familiar with the different things I've done to this, like the FPV turrets, that FPV turret. One thing I didn't mention is the retracts. If you get this model, I highly suggest you take the retract out. There's a plastic piece that fits this retract unit, but it's hollow all around it. I highly recommend putting, like, I used paint stir sticks, like the wood paint stirrers, and just filling in some of the gaps around it. Because if you don't, these things wobble so badly. The plane looks like it's strutting around on the runway. But when you do the paint stir sticks in there to fill up the gap, it really stiffens them up. And I notice it handles on the ground way better with that. So there's a little tip for you. Okay, let's go for another two or 3 minutes. Get the rest of this pack spent. Okay, there we go, taking off. There we go. So as I mentioned in my first sketchy flight with the bad turbulence, this plane really needs some rudder to fly good and kick the butt around. You can start a turn with the ailerons, but you're gonna need to, like 80% of your turn's gonna be with that rudder. So like right now I'm pitching with my stick on the rudder, or elevator. Let me start over. I am screwing up my words. So when I go into a turn, I'm using my stick to start the roll with the ailerons, and then I kick in the rudder to swing the butt of the plane around and try to keep it scale. One thing I didn't do is I'm gonna crank the gyro up. I'm just curious if it helps or hinders it. I know, people will be like, you don't need a gyro. You're right, I don't. But sometimes those little like gusts of winds and stuff, it just helps make the plane fly even more stable and look like a real bomber. I'm not noticing a big difference, truth be told. I just cranked the gyro up probably 20%, 30% above what it was.
5 minutes.
All right. Okay, that was a 2 minutes in the air, so let's go ahead and get ready for landing. It's so calm. I'm gonna try landing from the other direction just to keep my muscle memory good on both directions. So flaps going down, throttle pulling back a bit. That's still pitching up quite a bit. Okay, and there's a thermal over there. I just saw the plane go up 5 feet or so. Pull those flaps up. Let me try that one more time. And if I have the same problem, I'll land from the other side of the field, because that thermal makes it hard, because I should be losing altitude for landing, but instead I'm gaining altitude. So push down a little with the nose. Yeah, it just balloons right there. Okay, cutting the throttle back, bring her in for landing. Throttle off more or less. Feathering it. A little bounce. Not too bad. So I'll experiment with a little bit more flap to elevator trim compensation and see if that helps. And if not, then it might just be the way the model is. Kind of like when you give it throttle and it pitches up. I know you can change that with motor mount angles and wing incidence and everything else, but sometimes they just don't want to deal with all that, and I'll just handle it in the transmitter instead. Perfect. 3.8 storage voltage. So let me unplug this so you can see what the battery is. So yeah, there it is, 3.8. Okay. And just so you guys are aware, I just wedge my battery in here and it works really good. So yeah, this is what I'm flying. Turnigy 5,000 milliamp 3-cell, and 11 minutes of flight time gets me literally perfect storage voltage. Just FYI.